Oh, well.
Doesn't look so bad.
I was not anticipating Zoom meetings in this room when we put it up. So there you go.
And I love your short hairdo.
Oh, thank you. It's fun. Yep. Well, I guess we should go ahead and get started if you're ready, Brett and Patrick.
I'm sending Rick the meeting ID and passcode right now, so he should be joining us in just a second.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. I have 5:02 p.m. And I'm just going to remind everybody about the rules for participation. All attendees will be muted during the business portions of the meeting. That's the attendees, not the board members. Muting restrictions will be lifted during the public comment portions of the meeting. Each public participant may address the board for 3 minutes during public comment. Those commenting must state their name and address, and any participants who engage in Zoom bombing or other disruptive trolling behaviors will be removed from the meeting. So we're going to do introductions. Board members need to introduce themselves and include the city and state in which they are physically located. So I will start. Ann Donahue, and I am in Marquette, Michigan. And we'll go to Andrew next.
I'm Andrew Dallion, and I am in Marquette, Michigan.
And we'll go to John.
John Mello, Marquette, Michigan.
And Patrick.
Patrick Myron, Marquette, Michigan.
Carol is excused tonight because she is not in Marquette, Michigan. That's not the reason, but she's not in town, and so she's been excused from tonight's meeting. And I see Rick is joining us shortly. So we had an updated agenda that includes approving the minutes from the October meeting. Are there any other changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. This is Andrew.
And a second?
Patrick is second.
And I'll do a roll call vote. I'll start with Andrew.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
This is Ann. I also vote aye. So we need to, next up, we need to approve the minutes of the October 20th meeting. Does anybody have any changes or additions to those minutes? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 20th meeting?
So moved. This is Andrew.
And a second?
Second, this is John.
I'll do a roll call vote. How do you vote, Andrew?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Patrick?
I believe I need to abstain from that because I wasn't at that meeting, correct?
Yep, okay.
Did we do that?
And
back?
I'll vote aye. So we have, it passes with 3 aye votes and 1 abstention.
All right.
So now we're moving on to the November meeting minutes. So wait, now I need to think for a second. I guess we can,
I
because
don't think
Patrick
we-
and I were the only ones who were at that meeting, right? So we can't
Right.
actually approve them.
No. So we'll need to kick that one down to,
Kick that one to December,
Mhm.
yeah. But, I mean, Patrick, I didn't see anything that needed to be changed or corrected, did you?
I did not, no.
Okay, so just make a note of that as well if you would.
Okay, yep.
And we'll just have to do what we just did, which is approve those at the next meeting. All right, I think we're on to our special presentation from Amy Salmonen.
Nope, nope.
No?
Yes, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Okay,
My apologies.
no problem. Hi, Amy.
Amy.
Okay, I'm here.
There you are.
Okay. My name is Amy Salmonen. I am the circulations department head. now here at the Peter White Library. Before coming back home to Peter White, I was the library director at the West Bend Community Memorial Library in Wisconsin. And before that, I was the cataloging librarian here at Peter White. So I do have some history with Peter White, and I'm glad to be back home.
Excellent. We're happy.
What's going on in circulation? We are back to total curbside service. That service includes making appointments 5 minutes apart during the day. We need at least 18 hours notice now, not the 24 hours we had before. So we're taking appointments for the next day, later on in the day, but the next day. We wanted to do that so that we could fill all of those appointments as much as possible so people can get their items as soon as possible. We are also serving people at curbside with printing options that the reference desk has available. So they're printing items and bringing them down, and we're serving them at curbside with those items, and also faxing services. So those are also being done via curbside. We are also doing curbside library card registration, and that process can actually start either online or by calling the library and talking to one of the circulation assistants or myself, and we can get that process started and then finished at curbside so that people can get their permanent library cards right at curbside. If people do the online registration, they will get a barcode and a PIN number so they can access the digital library right away, or else place holds right away using those credentials. So that's a really nice feature as well. It's just finishing up the process when those holds come in. That can be a little hairy sometimes for us to get all the paperwork done and verify their address and identification. So we do that all at curbside, and I think those are the main services we're offering right now, other than the digital services that are available through Overdrive and our website. So it's been a really interesting process as far as how everyone does it here. I wasn't here when it was done the first time, all curbside. So it's good to see that my team is actually able to get back into the mode of curbside and has embraced it and done a great job with it. As far as my work here at the library, I'm working on a circulation manual with all the procedures and training materials that I can think of. It's coming together nicely with screenshots and directions on how to do different processes and procedures with both the ILS and just around the department. I'm also working with Andrea on the circ policies. We're kind of weeding out what the circ policies are as opposed to the procedures. So we're kind of weeding those things out and putting them in the right spot, I guess is the best way to put it. And with all the curbside going on, we can't forget about our pages. They're doing an excellent job keeping up with the pull lists and shelving. The pull lists on Monday are reaching over 300 items. So it's quite a hefty pull list that they're doing every Monday morning. And then all the other days, it's anywhere from 100 to 200 items. So it's still a lot of items that are getting pulled every day, and they're doing a great job. So with that, I'll throw it up to any questions for me or comments, concerns, whatever.
This is Andrew. Amy, I want to welcome you back. And you're welcome. And I just wondered, did you pick up any ideas that you were able to bring over or thought of you would like to bring over from Wisconsin?
Wisconsin libraries run quite a bit differently than they do in Michigan. So, access to the library as far as a library card is even different. So I've had to kind of relearn a lot of things, in all honesty, because I've been away from it for about 7.5 years. So I guess I've been able to bring some more knowledge as far as other ILS systems and what they can do, and possibly see if our ILS can do that same kind of process. I would love to, in the future, run everything through the ILS as far as financials for the circulation department. So if the circ department takes money for t-shirts and joggers, I want to run that through the ILS so that we can just get one report instead of having to do a spreadsheet and do the ILS. So I'm hoping to streamline some things in the process because I've seen it done in Wisconsin. So that's the kind of thing that I'm kind of bringing to the table.
Okay, great. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, hi, Amy, it's Patrick. I just wanted to echo Andrew here and say welcome back and thanks for stepping right in the sticky of it for sure. So what a great time to what a great time to start something like this. And yes, thank you for making note of the pages and their efforts too, because as someone whose family has been repeat offenders of the curbside pickup, it's been great. So smooth. So thank you.
Good, I'm glad it's working.
Yeah, it is.
Hi, Amy, this is John. We'll go right down the line, welcoming you to the library. And Andrew, we talked a little bit about data gathering. You'll get into that later with TAC. And so maybe a set of fresh eyes on that too, from a different perspective. I don't know. I know Bruce will be, involved in that a lot, but we're looking at gathering some information. I don't know how that plays in with what you're doing, but I'm sure you guys are talking about it, and now might be the perfect time when you're kind of experiencing a learning curve to see something or contribute something that would help us along those lines.
Yeah, I'm willing to help with data gathering as needed. As far as especially the ILS and how patrons are using the library and checking items out depending upon like various areas. We can do that. So yes.
Amy, this is Anne, and also welcome back. It's nice to see you here again. I think I mentioned we met when you were here before, a long time ago, and I don't quite remember when it was, but anyway, very happy to have you back. And yeah, it's a challenging time for sure, but your leadership will help. So
Yes, absolutely.
are there any other questions or comments for Amy?
No.
This is Rick, and so I just wanted to mention, because Amy probably wouldn't bring this up, but we've had some people out in the circulation area, and she's stepped up on the front line, been out doing the curbside. So great job in filling that void. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that. So
Well, thank you,
Rick.
Rick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amy.
Yep.
Thanks for doing that. That's wonderful. Yeah, and I use
Yeah.
curbside a lot too, and it's very easy. It runs like clockwork. I mean, it's not even that much harder. It's really, not that much different than coming in, except you make the phone call. So
Yeah, there's a lot of people that miss browsing though. I will say
Sure.
that.
absolutely.
They miss browsing the stacks. And so we do that for them. The reference department and the children's department and the teens department also looks at what they can pick out for people. So they're kind of doing that job for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I'll look forward to when the library can open again.
Yeah.
So we're just not sure when that will be, but it's
Mhm.
getting closer every day, right? Now that
There we go.
there's a vaccine. So
Right.
that's a step in the right direction. But welcome back, and thank you very much, Amy.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. We appreciate your time and all your efforts.
And Amy, if you can think about continuing curbside even after things settle down, because I know I've enjoyed that feature, and it makes life easier just to be able to pull
Mhm.
in and pick up.
We'll have to see with being open though, how we're gonna open and for what time period and what staffing looks like at that point as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, there will be a lot more traffic you know, when the doors are open, even on a, you know, a fixed basis too. So that's obviously a safety concern and other things as well, but yeah.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are on to public comment. Hearing none. If anybody wants to jump in, go ahead, but it doesn't seem like it. And we have pretty much, I mean, we're all known quantities here tonight, so. I think we can go ahead and move on to the Township Advisory Council report. Hi, Suzanne, it's nice to see you again.
Hi,
Hey,
Ann.
Suzanne.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Suzanne.
It's nice to see all of you, and it was wonderful to see the TAC meeting a few weeks ago. I've missed all of you, although as some of you have said, I come frequently to the curbside pickup, and I really appreciate it, Amy. Thank you for managing all of that. Well, my name is Suzanne Standiford. I live in Harvey, which is part of Sands Township, and that's who I'm representing tonight, the Sands Township from the Township Advisory Council. And I just have 3 quick things I could report on. Number 1, you'll all be happy to hear, I believe the marijuana provisioning center that I mentioned last spring to all of you, or maybe it was last winter, whenever we met in person, I believe it is open, and it is at the corner of 480 and 553, and you enter it from the eastern part of 480. It's right on your right side there. So any of you that wanted to visit there before you took a ride on that beautiful new road of Silver Creek, I think it's open. Second, we also have a new transfer station in Sands Township, which is wonderful. We have to take our recycling to the transfer station. There is no pickup at our home, and it's open Wednesdays and 2 Saturdays up until winter sets in, and then 1 Saturday per month. But it's been out a little ways on 553 and kind of a crowded area on the busy times. It's, you know, a lot of cars coming and going in a small area, and it's all outdoors. Well, there's a new big building. If you've been out toward Sands Township on 553, it's just past 480 on the same side as the Township Hall. Tomorrow night is the night that we'll be going for the first time, and it looks gorgeous. And they now are doing the single stream recycling so that we don't have to separate everything. And they are also accepting glass, but you must separate that out. So that's exciting news for us. But the big news was on the front page of the Mining Journal yesterday. A company from Kansas City, Missouri has applied and been doing a lot of legwork to open a solar farm in Sands Township. The name of the project, basically, the company is Savion Energy, and they have a website, savionenergy.com, if you're at all interested in knowing more about them. But they're calling the project the Superior Solar Project. It will be about 1,500 acres, and it's on the southwest corner of 480 and 553. If you're familiar with that area, the Crossroads Bar sits right there. So it's kind of angled off behind the Crossroads Bar and restaurant, I guess you could say. And they are having a planning commission meeting tonight at 6:30 where they will vote on whether to accept this or not. The company has been getting a lot of public input. They've had all kinds of meetings and opportunities to give the input as to whether or not you would support this for the township residents. And a couple of things about it I didn't know until I read the paper last night, but it is supposed to be about a $15 to $20 million project for Sands Township over the next 30 years, which Sands Township has very few businesses in it. So it would be a tax revenue of, let's see, excuse me, the 15 to 20 million dollars would be tax revenue that would be produced by this over 30 years. The investment is actually to be 100 to 150 million dollars to get it up and running. And they're talking with the Gwynn School District and NMU about setting up a scholarship fund for people in the county, for high schoolers who might want to attend Northern. They say it would include about 200 jobs in the beginning for construction of this. And then once it's all ready, it would only be 2 to 4 full-time permanent employees. Public responses have been kind of mixed. One man at the last meeting spoke about his concern for the environment and just for the whole township, for recreation opportunities and all that seems to be the biggest concern. But then I guess on social media, there's been a lot of concern about the meeting being a Zoom meeting, and people wanted them to postpone it until people could come and talk in person. The township response was basically that they can't really do that. They've met all the legal requirements to do it, and people have multiple ways to continue to give input. And so they're going to go forward with that 6:30 meeting. So that's what's happening in Sands Township.
That's a whole lot, Suzanne. Holy cow. And yeah, as someone who drives out to Sawyer 5 times a week, I've watched the progress on the new transfer station, and yeah, it looks great. It looks like it's set up, pull in, pull out, far enough away from the crossroads to not get jammed up in the traffic. And so, yeah, I mean, it'll be great for the residents for sure, and for the whole township. And as far as the provisioning center, I've seen the sign. That's as close as I've got, I swear to you.
Me too.
Yeah. I was curious how they got in there, because I can't really even see where the building is. I see buildings, but I'm not sure. But maybe I'll have a closer look.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or other comments for Suzanne?
Hi, Suzanne. This is Andrew. And hey, and that was, like Patrick said, that was quite a detailed report. We were discussing in a past meeting how the library, what kind of activities, what kind of outreach the library can do to better serve our townships. And I wondered if you had any ideas, or if you know anybody who might want to forward any ideas.
I don't actually know anyone that has any suggestions, but if they do the township newsletter, it will come out in January, and I write the library little column about what's going on at the library for the township newsletter. So I could include that this time. And would I just, would there be a person I should say people would want to contact for, if they had any suggestions? Would that need to go through the township board, or?
We will have a survey coming out for patrons early in the next year. I don't know if it'll be ready in time for the January newsletter, but if you'll send me that deadline, we can certainly shoot for that.
Okay. I don't have it yet, but when I get it, I will send it to you.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah. As to, did I have any thoughts on it, Andrew? In our TAC meeting, I did mention to Andrea that last fall, the township was trying to just get more interest in township business. And so they had like an open house kind of an evening, and they had different booths up about all the different committees and different things. And I think only about 2 people came to it. So I'm not sure. We're close enough to the library. I don't know if we need to do much at the actual township office. It's a small office. It's managed only part-time. And right now the township office is closed until December 31st. You can still do business by phone or make an appointment to meet with someone, but the building itself is closed. So I'm not sure. I didn't have any ideas. I think Peter White does such a wonderful job of online things, the curbside pickup, the Dropbox people. I did in the last newsletter, I did talk about they could also pick up items at the township office, but as far as I know, that hasn't been used very much at all. So I'm kind of blank.
All right. Well, thank you, Suzanne. I kind of had a zany idea, but just threw it out there that maybe we get a portable movie screen and do a movie night out in the different townships. And if that is something that the people would attend, I think it would be useful. But if we did it and nobody attended it, it would really be costly. So yeah, if I was just, not living in the township, I appreciate, you being a touchstone and, someone that people can reach out to with ideas. So thank you.
Yeah, it is kind of an odd township in that, there's the part of it that's over on 553 near the township hall. There's the part that I live in that's part of Harvey. We go right up to Chocolate. And then there's a part of it that goes out 480 all the way, I believe, to Negaunee Township. So we're all split up. So it's an odd township in that way.
Suzanne, this is Rick. I guess the one thing for the people like yourself, just to remind them that the easiest is the Chocolate Dropbox for you guys, actually. Yeah. So, and I'm not sure how many people in the Sands part of Silver Creek Road realize that that's there. So.
Yeah. And I think most people come to, there's no business, there's very little business in Sands Township. Sometimes we'll run over to the Great Lakes Fresh Market, which used to be Jack's IGA for groceries, but mostly we go to town where there's more variety in the bigger grocery stores. And of course we go there for the library. I think most of the people that I know, it takes you 5 minutes to be into Marquette from where I am. And now that new road is open, we can be over around the Walmart area in about 10 minutes using the back way down the new road. So.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much. It's good to see you all.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you.
For
Yeah.
giving that report. It's
Thank
really
you,
helpful.
Suzanne. We
Yeah.
appreciate your time,
Yeah.
all your efforts.
Well, thank you.
All right, moving on to the financial reports. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Ann. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Rick.
So as I usually start, just to see if there's any specific questions that any of the board members have, either on the financial numbers themselves or my comments that I could address for you.
Rick, this is Andrew. And so when I was reading over your report, it looked like we were, our year-to-date revenues were down, but we had some savings overall. So we're still, we're not in arrears, we're not in the red, we're still above, or we're still doing positive in terms of our balance.
That is correct. So
Okay.
basically, our revenue is down by, let's see, I don't know if I have that exact number, but it's down.
In your comments section, it right in the middle, it said year-to-date revenues are down 17,607.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
And
Yes,
then that
so,
was
okay.
due to the tax revenue being down 30,612.
Yeah, and then our little bit of operational revenue. Yeah, thanks for pointing that number out for me.
No worries.
Yeah, so basically you have, our revenue is 17,000 down, at this point, 2 months into the new fiscal year. But our expenditures are down by 42,000. So that's why we're ahead. And that's primarily the reason our revenue is down is not because of a timing issue, but it's because we went into this year with the assessed value of the city of Marquette down by, well, right now it's 30,000 less, but then when you roll in the little part we get in the new tax year, it'll probably be about 45 to 50,000 less. So we knew that was what we were facing this year. But the good news is so far in the first 2 months, and we'll have part of December too, we've been running at a behind or less of a staffing than we would typically have to run the library. Now we're starting to fill a lot of those positions, but that's allowed us to achieve roughly, I think, a $17,000 savings on wages so far this year in comparison to last year. And then we've also seen savings on utilities, some on retirement expenses, and then professional and contractual. So those are the big areas that we've seen savings on the expense side. Now there's some other areas, but those make up 80 or 90% of that reduction in expenditures.
Okay.
So that's kind of, where we're at on that. I guess the one thing that I'll remind the board is that even though our cash receipts and revenue receipts look extremely low for November, that's the typical pattern to November. What November does not have is really much of any tax revenue and tax dollars being collected. It had a little bit from the city of Marquette still being paid, but the townships haven't kicked in yet. They start towards the end of December and then carry on through April and May with their tax revenue and cash being reported. So actually on total revenue for November, by far our biggest chunk was the market gains from our general fund trust, which was about 31,000 plus a little bit of interest and income. So when you look at our revenue of 45,831, 32,000 of that is tied to market gains, basically, pretty much. So that kind of gives you an indication of how low. I'm sure the next biggest chunk of it would be private source contributions that came in that month. Going back up to cash. See, because the tax revenue has already been recorded, but you get some of that cash still coming in. So private sources was the other big part of that 2,376, which not only would be cash, but also would be recorded as revenue in the month. So let's see if there's any other.
Rick, I did have a follow-up question.
Sure,
when you're
sure.
ready.
Sorry, Andrew.
No, that's okay. You mentioned utilities, and so I was looking at the utilities, and I know we've been doing a phenomenal job at saving on our utility bill. But I noticed that compared to last year's utility bill, the 2019, we're about 2,500 kilowatt hours ahead of our consumption that we had in 2019. And I just thought, wow, because usually we're down.
Yeah.
And I wondered, and it's a nitpicky question. If you don't know the answer, it's okay. But if you do, I would just love the insight.
I don't. So the interesting thing is actually, yes, our kilowatts were up slightly over the previous year. And again, if you put both, the first thing I would look at is 10, 14 to 11, 12. So so that is actually like a 28-day period. And my first hunch is that this one, if you actually go to the read period, it's probably a slightly longer read period. And especially if you're into a Monday through Thursday, which has a little higher electrical consumption. So Andrea, it's on page 2, I believe, that you can see. Yeah, so here it's actually got 31 days in it. So it's
31
got 3
days.
more
Okay.
days in it. So that's
32.
the logical reason why. So we're basically using probably pretty much the same percentage of electricity. But the reason the bill's down is because actually the Board of Light and Power's rate structure has come down a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're still working, our new building supervisor, so and I are trying to figure out how we might manage to achieve a little more savings, especially on the demand side of things.
Right.
So we're kicking around some ideas. Can we alter the startup of the air handlers so that we're not starting all of them simultaneously, and those kind of things that would minimize the peak demand side of it. So I think that's where we have more of a potential to save on the electrical side.
Well, thanks, Rick. I know
But-
you have done a phenomenal job at providing savings. And so, yeah, and thanks for the explanation, because I was like, wait a second, Rick would never let this happen. And now that makes sense.
I don't
Thank
have
you.
that much power, Andrew.
I don't know,
anyway,
Rick, if there's anybody who
but the
knows
interesting
energy
one
stuff,
is
you're
the
an
water
expert.
bill is not that it's that large a bill, but again, with the fewer number of people utilizing the building, we're seeing that bill being half, and or maybe even a little bit more than under half the usage. So that's a big help. The SEMCO was actually a little bit higher, but again, the logic or the reasoning for that is it's actually measuring October, and October this year was a lot colder than October was last year. So actually, we'll see a flip of that in November. November was a cold month last year. This year it was actually really warm. We actually had the air conditioning have to run in November. So yeah, we had two days where it got warm enough in the building that the system didn't feel like it could keep up just using outside air to come in, and had to turn the air conditioning, the chiller back on, so for afternoons. So there you'll see it negatively impact the electrical side of things, because I'm sure we didn't have a chiller running last November. So
No, not inside anyway.
yeah, exactly. So let me see if there was any other. I think that's pretty much it, unless there's any other questions that I could address.
Rick, this is John. I have a question.
Sure.
Andrea, if you could scroll back down to Rick's comments, just so I want to make sure I understand it. So you're listing that 30,612 tax revenue is down. So just correct me if I don't get it. That's not a downward trend or because of de-evaluation of property or properties going off the rolls, correct? That's just.
No, that is exactly what that is. Our assessed value in the city of Marquette has actually dropped. So our tax revenue that we can expect to receive this year from the city of Marquette is somewhere in the neighborhood of $45,000 to $50,000 less.
Okay, is that denoted or as the result of a significant event like We Energies or places going off the rolls or brownfield, or what do you think?
A little bit of it is tied to, there was a final reduction in assessed value of We Energy. And then there was a negotiated reduction in the assessed value of the old Duke Life Point property and then
Right.
some smaller ones, but those are the two biggest pieces of it. And then the residential did not grow enough to offset those significant reductions, so.
Well, and then so we've already seen that loss to, there may be $15,000 more of a
15 to
reduction
20,
over the-
yes.
over
Yeah,
the course
you'll-
of the year. And that,
What you'll see, John, is in July, we'll get the new tax revenue, 3 months of it. And of course, that will not have as much coming in from those two areas at that time too. But we could pick up some additional assessed value in the next tax roll, our tax year too, that would offset a little bit of that.
and do we actually trend up a little bit with residential as, I mean, at least my son's looking for a home. Seems like home prices are continuing to increase. Is that a mild trend going upward or is it unpredictable?
So there, John, if you can recall when you get your assessment notice,
Yeah.
what there is there's the state adjusted amount, and it's whether that is greater or the actual increase. Whichever is less is what gets added on as your adjustment. And so this year it was just slightly over like 1%. So the only other factor that can increase it above and beyond that is when you have sales that go on, then some reset occurs in the tax value of that property, provided the city gets in and does a new assessment on it. It just doesn't automatically happen. They have to actually do an assessment on it to create a new assessed value on residential property. So.
Okay, so that would trend up a very small amount, but that's not one where we really get a surprise. It's more in these commercial properties.
Right. Yeah. So that's trending up, and so
Okay.
probably this year with 1% for all the properties that have been held on to, and then whatever is sold, you know, it might be 1.5% or something like that. It's not a big increase by any. And then when you have the major adjustments to assess value on big commercial properties, yeah, it wasn't enough to offset that. So your assessed value of the city of Marquette has dropped.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Rick?
Patrick, I'm good. Thanks, Rick. Very clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
You're
May I-
welcome.
May I have a motion to approve the bills?
This is Patrick. So moved.
This is Andrew, second.
And we'll do a roll call vote. Andrew, how do you vote?
Aye.
John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Patrick, how do you vote?
Aye.
This is Ann. I also vote aye. So let's pay those bills.
Motion passes 4-0.
Moving on to our board action items. We're going to table the remote work policy. I forget the last word of that. I guess that was, Andrea's going to go to some training later this week. Is it this week?
Is that
So-
online training?
It is,
Well, there you go.
probably via Zoom.
Yeah, I think I know how it'll work out, but good.
So we'll get back to this next month. So
Right, right.
next up, we have the authorized signer list. So there's been, just a number of staffing changes and things.
Oh,
Does
yeah,
anybody
yes.
have any questions or comments about those?
This is Andrew, and I did have a question about that. If you can, if you can go to the first page, please, of that. For the payroll and invoice, I don't see Rick's name on there, and you know, I saw his name on just about everything else. So I just wondered, was that an omission or, you know, on purpose, or was that a typo?
Part of an accounting check and balance, Rick.
Mm,
Correct me if I'm
Exactly.
wrong.
Yes,
Yeah.
since I'm the one putting in the bills into the city system, it's not appropriate for me to be the one authorizing those bills. So, yep, exactly.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Any other questions?
nope.
None here.
Okay. May I have a motion?
So moved. This is Andrew.
No, oh, all
Oh,
right.
somebody needs to read. the
Hang
record.
on, this is Patrick. I
Oh.
will, I'll make the recommendation if that's okay. The Board of the Trustees of the Peter White Public Library authorizes the above authorized signers for the specified functions necessary to manage the Peter White Public Library.
And this is Andrew. I'll second.
And we'll go ahead and have a roll call vote. Andrew, how do you vote?
Aye.
John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Patrick, how do you vote?
Aye.
This is Ann. I also vote aye. Next up, we have the study room policy. Andrea, thank you for reminding us. This had fell off my radar for sure.
It absolutely did. And when I've been working on collecting all of our policies to put in one policy manual. And when I went back to look at some of the dates, I kept thinking, I know we revised the study room policy. When did that happen? Well, it was supposed to happen in March, so it didn't happen. So I thought since we've already had one reading on all three of these policies, it made sense to go ahead and put it back on the agenda and get them officially approved. But let's see, we'll go down to look at the revisions. The study room policy, the big revision was changing the hour limit, and it looks a little hard to read. I'm sorry that highlighting came across this way in the scan. It's changing from a 2-hour to a 3-hour time limit on the rooms. Obviously, it's not a big deal at this moment.
You
But
can max it out if you want.
we can, yeah. But we would like to go ahead and update
Yeah.
these policies so we're ready to go when the time
Yep.
is again upon us.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about the study room policy?
No questions.
No. No, I think the increase, as we discussed before, I think it will, once people are actually able to be in the room together, I think it'll help. That there's probably a few things that might not be condensable enough to cover in 2 hours, depending on what it is you're doing. So it's just nice to have a little buffer and to not have to monitor it so closely too, as far as overlap or anything. So I think that would be beneficial for everyone.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
This is Andrew. The Board of Trustees of the Peter White Public Library moves to adopt the revised study room policy as presented. This policy will be effective on 12/15/2020.
Do I have a second?
Second, John.
And we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Andrew, how do you vote?
Aye.
John, how do you vote?
Aye. Aye.
Patrick?
You can't vote twice, man. The election's over. Let's see. I vote aye. Thank you.
This is Ann. I also vote aye. So that passes 4-0. Maybe it's 5-0 if we do count John's.
Sure, I'll count it. I'm pretty liberal that way.
Moving on to the local history collection development policy, another one we talked about in February. Are there questions or comments?
Nope.
Don't remember the major change that we made from the first reading to the second or to this revision is just making sure that the townships are more included in the policy and that they are represented in what we're collecting.
That's a great change.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing no questions or comments, may I have a motion?
Guess I'll take a
Andrew.
turn.
Oh,
This is
go ahead,
John.
John.
The Board of Trustees of the Peter White Public Library moves to adopt the collection development local history research room policy as revised. This policy will be effective on 12/15/2020.
Do we have a second?
Second, Andrew.
And I'll do a roll call vote. Andrew, how do you vote?
Aye.
John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Patrick, how do you vote?
Aye.
This is Ann. I also vote aye. And that passes 4-0. And then the last one is the Victoria Wolf recording booth policy.
Yes, so we did make a couple of changes and those are summarized here in this bulleted list. The biggest thing is just trying to make this as low impact for our staff as possible, and Superior Land is willing to do the training and come up with the protocol that will be needed for folks to be able to effectively use the room. And then our staff is really just going to be responsible for getting them in and out and verifying that the room was left in the condition that it started. As far as what the grand opening and launch looks like, well, unfortunately, that's just going to happen when it happens. But they have been, Superior Land has been in the recording booth and have recorded books during this downtime. So the booth has been used by Superior Land, not so much by the public, but it's nice to see that it is being used for its intended purpose. And hopefully going forward, we'll be able to use it for some ideas that we have as far as doing some oral histories and things like that. So I think once it's up and going, people will really appreciate it.
Are there questions or comments about the recording booth policy?
I have a statement. I'm looking to see if I'm muted or not. I'm good. Andrea, I'm not sure, again, if this is something township folks, would know about with the library having been closed. And I know we make an effort to get the word out, but this, I even kind of forgot about this. And what was in there is kind of impressive, and what you can bring in there and training available. So, it's just like a value added thing. Your recollection, they could use another little shout out about it. I mean, they may not, but if you think they should, or highlight it in a newsletter again or something. Because I don't think it really was, up and running long enough for us to kind of lock it in our heads.
No, it actually hasn't been up and running. So I think the timeline, I'm trying to remember what the last minute said. We had tentatively scheduled a grand opening for the end of March, I believe, with Superior Land for that to actually go live to the public. So everything just kind of,
Froze.
stopped. Yeah.
And this may be just brainstorming, and I know you may speak about this later, but we've talked about it a little. If we get a chance to see what other projects have been accomplished in similar settings that townships might not have thought about, recording their own oral histories or doing something that, maybe we're not wise enough to know about, but could learn from outside sources as examples. I'll start looking. And if you could find anything and send me a link, I'd be happy to, keep researching that.
Yeah, I do know that back when the StoryCorps bus was here, there was a tremendous demand and turnout for that. And this is a lot of the same thing. It's just a booth in the library rather than a booth in the bus. But I think it will get a lot of use for many of the things that John just mentioned. Families, individuals, even you could get some different township kind of history stuff going on where it's just recorded, therefore, the record and for anyone else to use. Yeah, for sure, Sam. Yeah, they can start by, as Sam just said, Tell us about your 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to piggyback on what Patrick said, and what Sam mentioned, seeing that, the lack of really resources we have on the pandemic from 1919 and the Spanish flu, recording some of experiences here, once we can gather back together, I think would be a powerful use for that booth.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments?
John, is there room for your drum set in there? It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, I do kind of like a human body parts percussion thing that I could probably get going in there, but the kit might be a little big.
Just to clarify, there's no windows in it either. So
There
that's
you
good.
go. I can take it.
There is one window.
Okay, well,
It's kind of hidden in the back.
obviously you could cover it with something when John's doing his thing.
Maybe that should be the inaugural use. All right. If there are no other questions or comments, may I have a motion?
This is Patrick. The Board of Trustees of the Peter White Public Library moves to adopt the Victoria Wolf recording booth policy as arrived. This policy will be effective on 12/15/2020.
Do I have a second?
Second, John.
And we'll do a roll call vote. Andrew, how do you vote?
Aye.
John, how do you vote?
Aye.
Patrick, how do you vote?
Aye.
This is Ann. I also vote aye. Passes 4-0. That takes us to our next public comment. Hearing none, we can go back to old business. Thank you for doing all the navigating, Andrea.
Yeah, I should have noted what page we were on. It would be faster, but.
Patty Wax.
Here we are.
There it is.
Excellent.
So just a little background about what we talked about at the TAC meeting on December 2nd. There was a lot of discussion about some of the ideas that we've had here, both in the board meeting and then on staff, as far as providing services out in the township. And interestingly, and I believe it might have been Suzanne who brought up a concern for staff time in adding township services that take us out of the building. So I do think the TAC is very cognizant of the fact that we only have so much staff time to go around. But I do think it would be really interesting to get some feedback from patrons. So my hope is that we can get something out the very beginning of the year after the holidays are over and people have time to return to what normal looks like for all of us right now without the holidays. And see if we can get some patron feedback on what folks would hope to see as far as library services out in the township. So we did talk about that in the TAC meeting, and the TAC was very supportive of that. And as Suzanne mentioned with SAN, some of the townships do have newsletters that they send out either monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly. And we would be able to include that survey in those publications that already are going out to township residents. And I think it would be good to try and hit those newsletter publications because they do tend to send to everyone in their township, all of their residents. So it'd be a great way to save on, sending out paper notices if we could piggyback on something that's already going out.
Yeah.
So I'll work with the TAC to make sure we meet those deadlines. I know Scandia does something, but I don't think it's as frequent. I think theirs might be quarterly or biannually. I don't know that West Branch does a newsletter. But I know Marquette Township does something as well. So
Yeah.
we'll try and piggyback as much as we can to put materials directly in people's hands. We could even consider doing a paper mailing of a survey. But we may want to hold off on that and see what kind of data we can get through other means before we go investing in a full out paper survey. But I think it would be worth doing. It's been a while since we've done any kind of patron survey. So I think, even though people, I feel like, are somewhat surveyed out, if it's for the library, I do feel like people will give some input. So I think it'll be a worthy endeavor.
Well, and the timing of it too, there may be some different things addressed that wouldn't have been a year ago. Just with people having a different headspace and going through some different stuff and really relying on the library for a lot of services they might not have on such a regular basis, so it helps our exposure. I do think that if we can do it to coincide with the individual township newsletters, it would be really nice to be included in something that these residents are used to and conditioned to open and read. So I think that would probably get us a little bit more visibility as well.
And
And
Andrea,
Andrea, oh, go ahead, John.
Andrea, again, being in the West Branch meeting and knowing about this thirst for data, encouraged to see that, you're trying to gather that and hoping that that's aligning with some of the requests that they had. I know we had some challenges in the services that we were using that were tracking things. So are you making any progress in that front? Is that, how's that going?
Well, Amy and I have been talking about it. Is she still on the call or did she? Yep, there she is. We had talked a little bit about what Overdrive could do specifically, because I know that's one of the resources that West Branch was really interested in seeing more data on. And we had talked about it, but I'm not sure that she's had a chance to really delve into that too much. But I know that there are a few options with Overdrive statistics. It's just a little bit harder with the fact that we're tied into all of the other Superior land libraries. So that mucks up the statistics capabilities a little bit. But we are working on it. And some of the resources we're already able to get a little more granular data from. So the question is, how much time do we spend taking that granular data and filtering it through the ILS system to find out where those folks are located township wise. So it may be the kind of thing that we really only want to do once a year. And we might want to target it to the audience, to the resources that we think are going to show the most bang for our buck. Because to do it for every database is probably not really time efficient. But I don't know, Amy, you've worked with Overdrive a little bit in the past too. Do you have any other thoughts on that one?
I haven't worked with it here, but as far as gathering data, it's going to depend on what data points Overdrive looks at as well. So I need to get with Lissa at SLC and see if I can get access to the Overdrive portal, which would give me the reporting options. So not sure what I'll find, in all honesty. But I will definitely, I've got a note here to give her a buzz and see what's going on with that.
Yeah,
Andrea,
when I worked,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Andrea.
I was just going to say, when I worked with Overdrive at my previous library, we could get a list of the library cards that were used in our system, but it doesn't give you any more data than that. So you can cross-reference those library cards with the ILS system, but it's one at a time. And what Amy and I had talked about, seeing if there was a way to be able to take that list of library card numbers and kind of dump them into Cersei to output some kind of report that had, name and township, or just township. We don't really need the names.
Right.
We just somehow need to figure out how to get that township division.
Right. And I know that in Wisconsin, when we did it, we could get more data than that. So it would already have some of the stuff from our ILS into that. So we could sparse out different areas and how much they circulated within the overdrive system. So, and difference between audiobooks and ebooks and video, depending on what you have. But yeah, there is a way to do it. I'm just not sure the process yet.
Yeah.
Andrea, I'm not, this is just kind of open-minded. If we could somehow categorize the type of data that they like, maybe we can provide some anecdotal evidence of that for them. And, something simple in the way of, if you're in West Branch Township, put a bean in the jar, some little something. Because I think it's the attention that's spent, I think is something that would be appreciated. And I think, it's somewhere along like the testimonial lines from their patrons. When you're sitting on a board, luckily we don't have this, and there are 25 angry people out there, and then they disappear after that event happens. It's the attention you sign up for, but it's nice if some other positive attention is also presented to them in a way that's really palatable, shows them it was a good decision. Folks are really appreciative, etc. I mean, so I know that's not hard and fast data, but sometimes that stuff is worth just as much.
Mhm. Yeah, like you said, John, it's showing a continued effort until we can finally get them maybe most of what it is that they want.
Yeah, and that may placate them by itself. I mean, after talking with them kind of personally off the record in that situation, as we all want to feel a sense of appreciation and whatever level appropriate.
Mhm.
I'm speaking more now
Absolutely.
about the board too, Andrea, and they were it's a tense thing for them. Here they're doing community service, and I've been at lots of those meetings where everybody shows up when they're upset, and then you just feel this void of attention. Maybe we can fill it with something positive.
Yeah, I think that's really important, John. I am going to go out on Wednesday of this week and meet with a couple folks at the Township Hall to talk about where their book drop is going to be located. So, I think regular drop-ins like that, just to say, hey, how things going? And once we have the book drop location out there, it'll be another opportunity to, show them our face every so often as we're picking up the book drops to just check in. And you're right, that kind of regular communication goes a long way.
Thank you.
And in a similar theme, would we want to mail paper copies of the survey to each member of the township councils so that they would have that in their hand and have that direct opportunity to engage with us, in addition to knowing that we're trying to engage with them?
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. That was another suggestion that the TAC had made, that we actually just print off a bunch of surveys to have at the township halls, both for the staff and the board, but also for anybody who drops in and may or may not use the library. Maybe there's somebody who's kind of opposed to the library and they want to give their 2 cents. That's okay too.
Yeah.
So having paper copies available at the township halls would help bridge that gap for anybody who doesn't receive a mailing or, doesn't want to use the website to be able to fill out the surveys.
Yep, those are all great ideas.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what we find out from this. Other
Very
questions? Comments? Oh, sorry.
What's it?
I just said surveys are fun.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I love them, but that's- I like data.
Yeah.
I have a couple, Ann, on my kitchen table that I'll let you fill out. Yeah.
There you are.
I don't like filling them out.
Yeah. It's like
Electric
aggregating the
cars,
data. Yeah.
All right, moving on to new business, board member comment. After I think I sent a link out to the new trustee manual that was revised this year. And I don't know, we don't have the paper copies yet, but not that we need them. But John noticed that there's a chapter about the friends, and we started having a discussion about having somebody from the board attend friends meetings as well. John, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I actually, I don't, want us to be part of the Friends. I sent a letter to the Friends. It's just 2 paragraphs. I'll read it to you guys. As part of my Board of Trustee responsibilities, I was reading the 2020 Michigan Public Library Board of Trustee Manual. In it, I came upon the statement that many friends of the library groups are attended by a Board of Trustee member, not as a participant, as much as for the opportunity for members of both groups to get a chance to meet and become familiar with each other. I provide a good conduit between the board and the Friends, and I've enjoyed getting to know all of you. I think it would be nice for the rest of the trustees to have the same opportunity. Since the Friends meet about 4 or 5 times per year, it would mean that each trustee would get a chance to attend 1 Friends meeting. After being on the Board of Trustees and becoming friends with the board, I am confident you would like all of them. I would like to suggest this idea at the next board meeting. If you like the idea, please let me know, because I wouldn't want to suggest something that makes any of you uncomfortable. And then, Ann, you had asked me if I thought this solved any problems, and there's not a problem. I just kind of liken it to what we've talked about with the township boards.
Sure.
That I think it enhances the familiarity and communication. I think we have a great relationship with Heather, and I don't see anybody interfering with that or her role, because I think the board would be enlightened and enjoy the topics and the level of discussion at the Friends meetings. And then I also think it'd give us an opportunity to personally recognize them for their support. I know we do so at the board meetings, but I'm not sure that all of the board or all of the Friends would recognize each other if they saw each other in public. And I just think it would be nice to put a personal touch on it. And so I just think it's kind of a win-win, and I think it would be an enjoyable opportunity for everyone. And I sent this message to the 6 people who attend regularly. And I didn't send it to Heather because I thought that Heather probably would get an opportunity to talk about it today. And I just sent it to the volunteers. And they've all responded really positively. Most of them excited to be able to have a board member. And then this wasn't my intent, but I also thought that, that's the kind of meeting and something that could actually spawn our next board member from the Friends of the Library. It could be a link. And Marie was telling me that she was on a group, which I didn't know existed, called the Friends of Michigan Library Board. And during her tenure there, many groups had participated in this practice and reported favorably on that kind of interaction. So all of the Friends really liked the idea. I like the idea, and I think if you guys went to a meeting, you'd be fascinated.
Well, and this is where, so John, I think it's a great idea for, each of the board members to, be welcome to attend a meeting. My discomfort is with making it a formal arrangement, because I feel like, as you said, you're not trying to solve a problem, but we have 2 people. We have Heather and we have you, who are, attend both the board meetings as well as the Friends meetings. So we have really good communication. And as I told you previously, I'm planning to go to the next Friends meeting, and I do want to meet these people and tell them how much I appreciate them. But I don't feel like we need to have a formal appointment, unless that's a role you would like to fill since you're already attending those meetings.
I don't attend those meetings, and Ann, I disagree. We have not gone to the Friends meetings in the past. So that practice isn't being followed as our history shows. And I always look at policy beyond me or beyond you or beyond who's on the board now. I think it would be a good role for board members to attend those meetings 10 years from now, past us, past our tenure. So I think that's the way those things become practices that are carried on. I think if we just leave it to people showing up, if they have an interest, there's no guarantee that that practice will continue. So that's why I'd like it to be like just a round robin, one meeting per year. It wouldn't be inconvenient for me to do it. And I'm hoping that the rest of the board agrees that it wouldn't be either inconvenient or interfering. It's not to be this link. Heather's the link. It's to form personal relationships with, I think we found, especially in the last township meeting, help. And I think it's just a kind thing to do.
Well, yeah, this is Patrick. I mean, beyond, contact with Dave and yourself and Margie, I really relied on that interaction at the book sales, and those are not happening now, haven't for a little while. That being said, I cannot do another meeting a month, regardless of what the topic or what the cause is. It's still a struggle for me to make this one on time. And I do agree. Great camaraderie. It heightens the awareness of everyone. And yes, you can recognize these people. But speaking for myself, John, no offense, but I don't have the bandwidth for another meeting. Again, I barely have it for this one. And maybe that speaks for my position and the fact that, my life is very different than it was 9 years ago when I joined this board.
And Patrick, I appreciate that. I don't think there's going to be like a hard and fast requirement. There's going to be a process that the Board of Trustees utilizes that becomes part of our fiber, where we tell folks when the Friends meetings are, and if they would sign up for one, they would have that opportunity.
Sure.
If we leave it just randomly like it is now, none of us have gone. I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding a little bit. So that's how I vision it. And I'm actually a little surprised that this has become kind of a serious issue. Yeah, I guess you got to do what you want, I guess.
Well, I certainly don't want to disappoint.
Not to you, Patrick. I appreciate people's, and I've been in your role, a different family time in my life.
Yeah.
I think it's just sign up for one if you can, but the vehicle has to be there for us to do it, just like the vehicle is when a term runs out for a executive person on the board, or when we reevaluate rules and bylaws and things like that. It just comes up at one meeting. Hey, everybody, here's a list. If you'd like to sign up and meet and show that, if you can, I'm not suggesting it's a requirement of the board.
Okay.
Just sign up for one and you go. But we need a vehicle to do that, I think, because we haven't done it in the past. And I don't think it's because we don't want to meet these folks. I think it's because it's not on our radar and not part of our agenda.
Yeah.
Well, see, I disagree that the Friends are not on our radar, because we get a report about them from Heather every month.
Well, we're not talking about the Friends, and we're talking about a list of us getting to sign up to go to one of their meetings. We're not talking about the Friends in general. I mean, this is a very specific thing. You know what? I withdraw my suggestion.
Well, John, this is Andrew. Before it's withdrawn, is it possible that we can just forward an email with the Zoom link for the Friends meeting a few days ahead, a couple days ahead of time? So that, because I'm noticing it's at noon, and if I was available, it would be nice to drop in, but I don't always know if I would be available in the middle of the day.
I guess I'd have to ask them that question.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, could you possibly provide a schedule as to, you know, the days of the month that these are or something? So maybe we could forecast a little bit of time. And again, I'm not against it. I really have a hard time voicing much of opinion either way for something I don't think I'm going to be able to do.
What if we had a reminder at the board meetings of when the Friends meet? And that could trigger the reminder that we're welcome to attend those meetings.
I suppose, I mean, is it
And I
open
mean,
to the,
Patrick, I understand that you know, and it would be completely voluntary.
right, but like, John, is it a meeting that, I guess I just sort of assumed you were at all of these because you were so involved with the Friends, but like, is it an open public meeting?
I froze you guys for quite a while there.
Oh.
For probably 20 seconds.
I'm just
It is
wondering.
an open, yeah.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I
it's
figured it wouldn't be closed doors. I just didn't know if it was advertised or, if, you know, they were like, hey, come on in.
Have Heather speak to some of that?
Yes. Heather,
Hello, everybody. Can you see me?
there you are.
Hi. Yeah. What happens usually with the Friends meetings is they don't have like a year's worth of meetings on the schedule. What they do, like they met in November via Zoom, and at that meeting, they decided they didn't need to meet again until January. So the meeting frequency is always different, and it's usually set at the previous meeting when they need to meet again. Sometimes they
Okay.
need to meet the next month. Sometimes they say, you know what, we don't need to meet for 3 months. It really just depends on what's going on.
Sure.
I do, when I know dates, include them in my board report. So those
Yeah.
are on there, and they are always open to anybody who wants to attend a Friends meeting, as long as they behave. And so far, everybody's behaved. They are a lovely group of people. They're very enthusiastic, and they sure do love the library. What we can do, though, to prompt maybe a reminder for you guys, or, you know, if you don't have anything going on at noon that day, is I'll have Margie put all the board members on the agenda list that has the Zoom link to the meeting until
Okay.
we're meeting in person. And then, you know, obviously nobody has to sit there for the entire hour if they don't want to, including Friends members. So, I mean, that might be a way to, like, let's get this off the ground. You know, if you want to attend, as usual, you're always welcome to attend the Friends meetings. They usually discuss the bookstore, and if there's a special event going on, which, you know, obviously there's a lot of that now, and solving other problems that they have within their workroom or that sort of thing. So they're a pretty specialized group. And then they also discuss library requests for funding at their meetings too. So those are nice too.
Yeah.
So
And
Thanks,
Heather,
Heather.
this is officers, or this Rick, is it, or is it just any member of the Friends?
yes,
But there is
Anybody-
officers that,
there are officers, and Margie is our president, John's wife, and I'm actually the treasurer of the Friends group because I'm the treasurer of the development fund. So I do all of our bookkeeping. I don't vote. I'm the library liaison. That's just my role
Right.
in that group. And so, and I believe David's the secretary. David White is also the secretary, in addition to his many other roles in the Friends
Right.
group. So there are officers, but anybody can go to a Friends meeting. In fact, anybody who's really comfortable voting on something is also welcome to vote on things too, or give their input. It's pretty it's pretty casual. They do have bylaws, but it's not a hard and fast meeting, I guess I should say. It's a nice group. It is interesting.
Heather, we can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Now can you hear me?
There we go.
I think you
Okay.
pressed your microphone.
I think I was covering it. Sorry.
Heather, gotta lean in.
Here I am. One thing that's interesting about our friends group right now is they're really a fundraising source, a fundraising vehicle for the library, more so than an advocacy group in like the millage campaigns and so forth, like other friends groups have been around the country. They have provided funding for millage campaigns to our library supporters group. That library supporters group is an absolutely different group of people than the friends group too. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing about our friends group as well.
Mhm. Heather, are the meetings typically held at noon?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're at the library, correct, Heather?
Well, usually they're at the library, but they've been via Zoom.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
John, how do you feel about having the board members get copies of the agenda so that we know the meeting is happening when they do get scheduled? And that would be a reminder and hopefully, an invitation to attend if one of us is available.
I'd actually have to ask Margie about that.
Okay.
So she's in charge of doing that.
Well, yeah, please do. I'd be very eager to hear what she has to say and how we can be more involved in that, I guess.
So Heather, I guess I'm not sure if Heather or John is going to talk to Margie.
I can't. It's,
Yeah, I think
he probably has proximity.
Well, there's that. But
yeah, I don't actually attend the Friends meetings, so
okay, well, I misunderstood that. I thought you did attend them.
Yeah, I think I just assumed you did, so shame on me.
yeah, I on occasion, actually, the thought I had was we were driving home and Margie Zoomed one of them. And I thought how fascinating it would be for each one of you to have the opportunity to
Sure.
participate. And after Zoom, in person,
Right,
if possible.
right.
Okay. Well, Heather, why don't you ask Margie about that and see what she thinks? Is that good?
I will do that. I'm sure that I don't see any problem with it. As we add everybody to the email list, as people become interested in the friends, we get that quite a bit when we're open at the library. Well, people will come to the desk and inquire about the friends group. Maybe they're new to the area. In fact, that's how Marie Brooks ended up on the friends. She talked to me with one of her visits to the library, and now she's an awesome friends member. So we just get you on the email list, and there's minutes and so forth too. You can read those, and it's really how involved you want to get, because there's actually like bookstore committee people too, and even I say, you guys can have your bookstore committee meeting, and if you need me for anything, let me know. So but the friends general meetings are just that, it's more general information.
And it sounds like they meet when they need to.
Correct.
Okay, so they don't have a schedule.
Right.
Not really, no.
Okay.
The next meeting is January 9th at noon.
Okay.
January 7th?
January
7th
9th.
written down. It's the
Oh,
9th.
7th, whatever that Thursday is. I have the 9th in my
Wow.
head.
That's the future.
I know.
Seventh.
It's a whole different year.
Okay, well, Heather, will you please talk to Margie and then we'll go from there?
Will do.
Is that agreeable, John?
Yeah, I'll have to think about it.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? The next new board or the next new business board member comment. I have a conflict for our 5 o'clock meeting on January 19th. I could meet at 7 PM or we could shift the meeting a week. So I need Carol. I talked to Carol today. She said she can do either one of those options.
Either one. Yeah, it probably doesn't matter to me.
Either one works for me.
I actually noticed that 3 of the people are kind of still in their office. So I would opt for shifting it rather than having them start a meeting at 7 and maybe extending their day to 8:30 or 9.
Sure. Yeah. So we're looking at second
12 for the
Tuesday,
26th.
I'm looking at my calendar. Andrea, do you have a preference? Between the 12th or the 26th?
12, 26.
And this is Rick, and I mean, going later for me to actually get accurate financial statements from the city, the more time, the better, yeah. So the 12th would be really pushing it to try and get,
Oh, I suppose, yeah, from that standpoint, moving it up a week as opposed to, and then that would be the 26th. We would have till the 16th for the February meeting. Yep.
Okay.
That works for me.
All right, let's move it to
Remind me.
January 26th then.
26. And that will be 2021.
Oh, I just wrote it down wrong. Thank you.
Well, I started to.
And
that will-
standing reports.
I just had one question about the communications report. And I noticed that maybe I'm misreading something, but and on the bottom, when we're looking at the total reach, the table, I think it's on the second page. I just noticed that we've had some really good total reach numbers until we hit this month, and it looks like it almost went in half there. And I just wondered what went on.
Social media. Some posts, they just hit people, and some posts they don't.
Okay.
Jenny and Alyssa are really trying to figure out some of those algorithms to try and make sure that we're hitting the population that we're looking for. But you can see they did 49 posts in November as opposed to 42 in October. But it really just depends on how many people are reacting to the post. Are they sharing it? That total reach number is not as solid of a figure as you would like it to be.
Okay.
Right.
Because social media algorithms just control so much of it.
Gotcha. Because everything else was looking great. Even, the total likes was going up, followers was going up. So I thought, wow. And then so that explains it. Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah, for sure. It's so interesting to look at these statistics because to me, it just feels very random. It's very hard to predict the social media statistics. The website statistics are a lot more solid, I feel like,
Right.
because those are people who are searching out the library's information and not just, happening to see it and react to it or not.
Well, in October, we were letting people in the building again for for a while, so that creates a different buzz and an awareness in people too. And yeah, I mean, you get into November, December, even in what would pass as a normal year, the distractions become
And I have
exponentially more.
think that the election had something to do with that too. I mean, the amount of people who just said, you know what, social media isn't for me in November.
Yeah.
I was one of those people. I was like, I didn't want anything to do with looking at Facebook for a while because it was just so awful.
That makes sense too.
Yeah. Other comments or questions about standing reports? Anything else for the good and welfare?
Happy holidays, all.
Yep. Yeah, just to reiterate, the January meeting will be the 26th at 5 o'clock, likely via Zoom, but we'll see.
Yep, that's up in the air still.
Okay.
That's the other thing about pushing it back a week. That gives us a little more time too. All right.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
she's not here, but let's thank Carol for her challenge. That's
Yes,
Woo-hoo.
pretty amazing stuff.
that is very amazing.
Only $1,000 to go.
Woohoo! Yay.
Sarah's looking around like she's got it behind her or something. All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely. Happy holidays. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, that's Andrew. Patrick, I will second.
I'll do a roll call vote. Andrew,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Patrick,
Aye.
Mrs. Ann, I also vote aye. Motion to adjourn passes 4-0 at 6:38 p.m.
6:30.
Thank you, everybody.